What if Deku had Salem's powers? Chapter 6. Which? What the fuck are you talking about? Shigaraki asked. Your no Mew won't be able to kill All Might, because it won't exist when he arrives, Izuku said. You brat. Our no Mew is designed to kill All Might. How do you possibly think you can defeat it? Shigaraki asked. Because I'm not All Might, Izuku said. Izuku then attacked the no Mew while the Borbatusk and other Grim attacked Shigaraki and the other villains. What does Izuku think he's doing? He's going to get killed, Azue said. I think he already did. You saw all the goop pouring out of him. And then before he got up, he glowed gold, Zero said. Does he have regeneration as well? Azue asked. Never mind that. Let's get out of here, Mineta said. Let's grab Mr. Aizawa first, Azue said. Alright, Zero said. Azue and Zero then used their quirks to pull Aizawa to them. The three then began to carry Aizawa up to the exit. You're not getting away this time, Shigaraki said. Shigaraki then decayed the Borbatusk and chased after them. Oh no you don't, Izuku said. Izuku then stretched out his arm and wrapped it around Shigaraki's waist. He flung Shigaraki away and into the ground. I won't let you hurt anyone else, Izuku said. Shigaraki then decayed Izuku's arm, and then the no Mew punched Izuku, sending him flying. I hurt you, Shigaraki said. Izuku then stood back up covered in black goop whilst he regenerated. So I'll hurt you back, Izuku said. Izuku began to hit Shigaraki with multicolored magic, burning his chest. Meanwhile, several Grim swarmed the no Mew. Izuku was stopped by several villains, but he quickly took care of them, not holding back at all. You killed them, Shigaraki said. And they were trying to kill me. They got what they deserved, and soon you and everyone else will have the same fate, Izuku said. You're no hero. You're just a murderer, Shigaraki said. Look who's talking. Weren't you just spouting that you want to kill All Might? And now since he's not here, you plan to kill us. There's a difference between killing to hurt and killing to save. I'm killing to save. That being said, Izuku said. Izuku began to cast magic. However, the no Mew had managed to kill the Grim and rushed towards Izuku. The no Mew punched Izuku up into the air. Before Izuku hit the ground, he used wind magic to create a tornado that he was now atop. Izuku began to shoot magic at the no Mew, whilst more Grim rose from the pools and attacked Shigaraki and the no Mew. Izuku had managed to blow one of the no Mew's arms off, allowing him to see that the no Mew could regenerate. So it also has regeneration. What else does it have? Izuku asked. More than you can imagine, Shigaraki said. I wonder though. How strong is the regeneration? Can it regenerate if there's only a cell left? Izuku asked. Shigaraki went silent. So that's a no, Izuku said. Izuku then looked at the no Mew's exposed brain. What about the? Izuku said. Stop being so cocky, Shigaraki yelled, charging towards Izuku. Izuku smiled. Izuku then aimed for the no Mew's head. Izuku shot a fireball at the no Mew, but a purple mist appeared in front of it. The fireball was then teleported back at Izuku. The fireball hit Izuku, sending him falling down into another portal. What kept you so long, Kurogiri? Shigaraki asked. Sorry, Tamura. Gathering these creatures took longer than expected, Kurogiri said. Izuku found himself in the Grim pools surrounded by portals that teleported anything that went through them back. A portal then appeared above Izuku and then water began to gush out of it. The water washed away the Grim pools and pushed Izuku into the shipwreck zone. Kurogiri then opened a portal above the edge of the water and a ton of rock splashed into the water, burying Izuku underwater. That should keep him busy for a while, Kurogiri said. Yes, but he's killed most of our forces. And those other students have gotten Eraserhead to safety. We should cut our losses, and Shigaraki said. The doors to the USJ then blew open, kicking up a lot of dust. Emerging from the dust was the #1 hero. All Might. Have no fear, students. I am here, All Might said. I've been waiting for you, hero. You trash of society, Shigaraki said. All Might then jumped down to the main plaza. He then was several bodies across the plaza. What? What happened here? All Might asked. One of your precious students killed them in cold blood, Shigaraki said. You lie. None of my students would do such a thing, All Might said. Oh, but I'm not. A student with white hair and skin spawned several creatures that killed several people, and he killed several personally, Shigaraki said. Would young Midoriya really do this? All Might thought. Oh, and I forgot to mention that they are dead now, Shigaraki said. What? All Might asked. You heard me. Your so-called precious murderer has met his end. Drowning whilst being buried by rocks, Shigaraki said. I may have failed in protecting my student, All Might said. Shigaraki laughed. But I won't let that affect me in this moment. I will protect the rest of my students till my last breath. No matter what you say about my students, I will protect them from the likes of you villains, All Might said. All Might the charged at Shigaraki. Carolina, All Might yelled. No Mew, Shigaraki said. The No Mew stepped in front of Shigaraki. Smash, All Might yelled. The No Mew was hit with a tremendous force, but it wasn't affected by the blow. The No Mew then went to grab All Might, making All Might lean back to avoid its arms. All Might then punched the No Mew in the gut, but again it had no effect. Let's try this, All Might said. All Might then punched the No Mew several times in the face. Doesn't even matter where I punch you, does it? All Might asked. That's because No Mew here has shock absorption, All Might. The only way you're going to hurt him is to slowly gouge out his flesh. Of course, I don't think he'll sit back and let you do that. You've finally met your match, Shigaraki said. Shigaraki the keeled over in pain. What the matter? Weren't you just spouting about No Mew's quirk? And thanks for telling me how to beat him. All I have to do is wear him down, and then on to you, All Might said. All Might then suplexed the No Mew. But when the dust cleared, the No Mew had grabbed onto All Might as Kurogiri had opened a portal. Your precious student burned me. Not very hero-like, wouldn't you say? And soon you'll meet the same fate. Nice work, Kurogiri, Shigaraki said. Kurogiri then began to close the portal. All Might tried to break free from the No Mew's grasp. This is your first offense. You'd better prepare yourselves, All Might said. Kurogiri, Shigaraki said. I do not want blood and guts overflowing within me, but I would be happy to take in someone as great as you. You are too fast to see with the human eye. Restraining you was No Mew's job. And then, when your body is halfway in, to close the gate and tear you apart is my job, Kurogiri said, as All Might was being pulled in between Kurogiri's warp gate. Bakugo yelled as he came in and pinned Kurogiri down. The No Mew's right side was then covered in ice. The symbol of peace cannot be killed by the likes of you, Shoto said. All Might broke free of the No Mew's grasp. Kirishima then came in and attacked Shigaraki, but he dodged out of the way. Damn. That was gonna be cool, Kirishima said. Kurogiri, our exit and entrance, has been overcome. We're in a pinch. No Mew, Shigaraki said. The No Mew then simmed out of the warp gate, and its frozen side broke off. But then the No Mew began to regenerate. Get back, everyone, All Might yelled. No Mew, we need to get our gate back. Go, Shigaraki said. The No Mew then charged at Bakugo. The ground then began to rumble. Izuku then burst from with a tornado of water. Izuku then shot a high-pressure blast of water at the No Mew. Young Midoriya. You're alive, All Might yelled. Why won't you stay down? No Mew, Shigaraki yelled. The Nomyu charged towards Izuku. All Might tried to move to stop the Nomyu, but he couldn't due to the injuries inflicted on him. The Nomyu jumped at Izuku. The ground then began to shake again. A Leviathan Grim then emerged from the water and chomped down on the Nomyu, eating it whole. No no no. Our Nomyu. You bastard, I'll kill you, Shigaraki yelled. No I will, Izuku said. Izuku then shot a blast of fire at Shigaraki. When the fire dissipated, Shigaraki was no longer there. Izuku said. Izuku then lowered himself to the ground. Did you just incinerate him? Kirishima asked. No. The fire only had the heat to burn him, not turn him to ash, Izuku said. So they teleported away, Shoto said. Yes, but it wasn't the fog guy, Bakugo said. What makes you say that? Kirishima asked. If Fogman could teleport out of my grasp, he wouldn't have let me hold him. Also, some black goop came out of his mouth, Bakugo said. So they have someone looking out for them, Shoto said. We can speculate later. Our classmates need out help, Izuku said. Izuku then began to walk off. Young Midoriya. Is it true what he said? Did you kill these villains? All Might asked. They knew the risk. And suffered the consequences, Izuku said. Everyone was stunned. You. Actually, killed people? Kirishima asked. Sometimes the only way to protect people is to kill. If you can't handle that, then you're in the wrong place, Izuku said. Izuku then walked forward, but then began to fall. Izuku reverted back to normal as he hit the ground, and the Leviathan then began to turn to dust. Young Midoriya, All Might said. All Might then went to move to his side. All Might checked over Izuku and sighed in relief. Izuku had just passed out. A short while later the other teachers arrived and rescued the other students. Izuku found himself in a dark void. Where am I? Izuku asked. In your subconscious, Salem said. What happened? Is everyone alright? Izuku asked. You don't remember what happened? Salem asked. The last thing I remember was being punched by the giant monster, Izuku said. I see. Well, you'll be glad to know that everyone we saw are safe and were alright before we passed out, Salem said. Why are you saying we? I know we share a body, but you're making it, Izuku said. Like we were one? Salem asked. Yeah, Izuku said. That's because we were. After that monster killed you, we became one for a short while. With my experience using magic and Grim, you were able to end our attackers, Salem said. End our attackers? You mean I killed them? Izuku asked. We killed them. I know this may upset you, but it was either kill or be killed out there. And those villains had no intention of letting anyone live. We did what needed to be done. And they attacked children. They got less than what they deserved. They should have been left to feel the pain they inflicted on us, Salem said. You're right. They should have been made to suffer. They killed me twice, Izuku said. And who do you think allowed this to happen? Salem asked. The brothers, Izuku said. Yes. They allowed this evil to take hold and hurt the innocent, which is why we need to take them down, Salem said. ANS show then that they are just fake gods, Izuku said. Correct. Now I do believe you're starting to wake up. I'll talk to you later, Salem said. Right, Izuku said. Izuku then woke up in the school infirmary. Good afternoon. Quite the exciting day you've had, recovery girl said. Exciting is not the right word, Izuku said. Sorry. Just trying to lighten the mood, recovery girl said. Don't. Anyway, how am I doing? Izuku asked. You're completely fine. You passed out from exhaustion, but that was it. Impressive considering from the statements of the others on what happened to you. Tell me, are you able to regenerate? Recovery girl asked. Yes. I can regenerate whenever I take damage, and even when I die, Izuku said. You can regenerate from death, Recovery Girl asked. Yes. Being smashed into stairs isn't something that is usually survivable, Izuku said. I see, Recovery Girl said. May I go home then, if I'm alright, Izuku asked. Not yet. The police want to get any information you have and ask a few questions, Recovery Girl said. Fine, Izuku said. A short while later, a man in the trench coat arrived. Hello, I'm Detective Zukoki. I'm in charge of the investigation on the attack on the USJ. I would like if you would tell me if you have any information about the villains that attacked you. But first there's something I must talk to you about, Zukoki asked. What is it, Izuku asked. You have no idea, Zukoki asked. Idea about what, Izuku asked. You killed several villains, Zukoki said. I did. I have no memory of doing so. The last thing I remember was being hit by that monster, Izuku said. I see. Recovery Girl has told me about your regeneration. I assume you are aware of this power, Zukoki asked. Yes, but not the full extent. Dying isn't nice and would rather not have died, Izuku said. I see. Then perhaps you entered a state where your only goal is to survive, leading you to kill those villains. But it's only a theory. That's the story we'll go with, if you're happy with it. This should create the least amount of backlash, and considering they killed you, most of the public should be sympathetic to what you did. Of course, your name won't be made public, Zukoki said. That's fine by me. I don't really care what story is told. I killed them because they wanted to hurt us. They got less than what they deserved, Izuku said. Recovery Girl and Zukoki were stunned silent. I suggest you go home and get some rest. Let your mind clear and settle, Recovery Girl said. I will, Izuku said. Izuku was then allowed to go home and get some rest. But life had other ideas in mind. End of chapter 6.